Bearzi podcast. Actually, I'm just going to skip the intro. Our guest today is our repeat guest, Bryan Francisco, or Bryan Primetime. What's going on, bro? How you doing?
What's up, bro? Finally doing a live one, eh? Jeez.
You see the camera? Actually, I can't even see the flip.
You can't see it.
Okay, so right now we're doing a live pod with a brand new Sony A7S III, which was Sony's full frame camera that they just released. Was it last month?
Yeah,
when did they release
about a month ago, September 24th. No, more than a month, yeah.
When was the Sony A7 III released?
That was almost 2 years.
So it's been 2 years?
Yeah, almost 2 years. Maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Because I got mine in the last April 2019.
Yeah.
But that's been already out, right? So, yeah, but almost 2 years.
So well worth the money?
Yeah, it's really expensive though, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Now I sleep in the office now, you know, because I have a house. I spent it all on my camera.
What's the best feature you would say
Well,
about this A7S III?
The one feature that I've been wanting for a while is the flip screen, which is something that Sony, I don't know why Sony never had it. Well, they did for the A5000, A5100, for like one camera. And then they
for
went
A50.
It's like an old camera that people use for like vlogging. But then they came out with the A6000 series, which had like no flip screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so hard. It was so hard to film all the vlogging type stuff, right? But yeah, that's the one thing. It's honestly a game changer, bro. Just being able to see yourself when you're vlogging and like just being able to flip the screen around is just such a big like. So helpful.
It feels so stupid that they didn't just jump on board with a fully articulating screen, because the Panasonic cameras did it, the Canon cameras did it, and even like the Fuji X-T4, I think the screen fully articulates as well. It's like this screen where it just pops out and then you can kind of bend it diagonally. It's so stupid. I know they tried to do the flip up screen like with my Sony A6400, but I don't know. It felt like such a huge mistake to me that you just didn't incorporate a flip screen that was like perfect, and everyone else used it. But why didn't you use it too? I don't know. It just drives me nuts.
I don't get it either, man. Like being able to I don't know. It should be mandatory for all cameras, man.
Yeah,
being
100%.
able to flip that thing over. Like I would take the A6400 flip up than what they had on the other older.
Yeah, than
cameras,
having
man.
no flip.
The stock you're able to see, you gotta be able to see yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the stuff that we create, the content we create, we kind of need to see yourself that way, right? So, yeah, that's good to have that feature. But you also have 4K 120 frames per second now, so I can do all that slow motion stuff and extra high quality. For 10-bit as well, so that means I can have more control over editing how the final product looks, right? So just those little, actually they're not even little, they're actually big upgrades. Yeah, big upgrades from the last camera that I had. But still learning it, man. It's a lot of features. There's a lot of features to learn, and I feel like this is a new camera because they changed the menu system. They changed a lot of things about it. It's really cool though, man. Like expensive, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, but it still has IBIS, or is it improved IBIS? The body image stabilization.
IBIS is still on there, and it's I feel like they've gotten better too. So, they always have to have IBIS. I think all cameras have IBIS now, right? So it would make sense for it not to have it.
Are there any other features that this A7 III didn't have?
I think those are the main ones. The flip, the 4K 120. Oh, you can do 240 frames per second, 1080 now, which is like crazy. But the only thing is, it's only internal slow motion, so it does the slow motion for you in camera, instead of you being able to do it in post. I don't know. Not sure why they did it that way.
So if you shoot in 240 frames, it does slow mo for you.
It'll do it for you internally, yeah. So if you record for like 2-3 seconds, the clip's gonna be like a long.
Oh, okay, because it's
right?
10%
yeah,
speed.
Exactly. So it's gonna be like 10 times slower.
Oh, that's
But that's the only thing I didn't like about it. But it still works. The quality's still pretty good.
Yeah.
But I usually film in 4K, and that's what I've been waiting for, man. I wanted to make all my content in 4K.
Yeah, it's gonna be the standard eventually. Even though in 2020, 1080p is still generally not concerned. What's the word? Assumed? No. whatever, but it's like the standard. 1080p is like the standard for video, right? But I feel like as internet gets faster and bitrate gets faster and all those things, 4K is probably just going to become standard because everyone has a 4K TV now.
Yeah.
Like everyone has a 4K smart OLED TV or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like the standard of 4K is coming real soon.
I think so. I give it a few years.
Few years,
and I think it'll be standard. So just having I just want a camera that's ready for it, right? When it does become standard.
Yeah.
Because I've been shooting 1080 for the past few years. So.
But it still looks good. 1080 still looks
It does,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
It does. If I have to shoot 1080, I'll still shoot 1080. Cause
I do too.
Yeah, yeah. Because you can always downscale your 4K and it'll look good in 1080, right?
Yeah, I love doing that because you get that like super crisp picture, right?
Yeah, it's like sharp, right?
Yeah, and then also I like shooting in 4K because you can kind of just like zoom in on part of the clip and you don't lose that image quality. You know what I mean? Like if you were to zoom in on like 1080 or a 720p, it gets all like pixelated and all that, but when you punch in and zoom in at like 200% or 250% on a 4K image, it still looks super nice.
Yeah, it does. It does. That's what I did a lot of before, but I just wasn't able to slow down 4K since I only had 24 frames per second on the older camera.
Yeah.
But but now I just try to do everything in 4K since I have the option to, right?
Yeah, so that's the problem I have. If I want to shoot anything in 60 frames per second to get that like 40% slowed down cinematic look, I have to go back to 1080p. Because 4K I can only get up to 30 frames, which is only 80% speed to get that slow-mo. But 80%, it doesn't give you that like cinematic look to the footage. Right?
It helps kind of like smooth out little like little minor things. But at least 40%, right? That's what I think. 60 frames.
60 60 frames. The other thing too, though, Bo, when I think of the Sony A7S III, I feel like this camera is for a very specific group of people, specifically professional videographers. I feel like this camera is kind of overkill for the more, I would say, maybe casual camera fan or whatever. It seems like to fully utilize what you're buying, you got to be like really using it for a specific reason, right? Like, you wouldn't recommend it to just like a beginner or something, right?
Honestly, I wouldn't. Just for someone starting off, I wouldn't. I would probably get them towards like I think the APS-C series is probably something that most people should start with because that's what I started with, and I used that for a couple of years, and I used that for a lot of my client stuff actually, and it worked out.
Yeah, it's still good.
Yeah, and it's a fraction of the cost, right? Like,
yeah,
a lot cheaper than the A7S III.
But you know what I don't like about Sony? They're trying to do this thing where, what is it called? The Sony A7C?
Yeah.
It's like an introduction camera to the full frame line, but it doesn't even seem that cheap.
It costs more than A7 III.
It costs more than the A7 III.
It's a better version of the A7 III, but I think they should have focused on bettering their APS-C lineup and introducing that, right? Because I think the A7 III is their introduction, like their I guess low end full frame
entry
camera,
level.
Right? Entry level, yeah, that's the word. The entry level camera that into their full frame series. Like I don't know why they made the A7C.
Yeah, that kind of sucks because I've been hoping for some upgrades this year for the APS-C line because obviously I shoot Sony APS-C, and I was extremely disappointed that there wasn't an announcement for a Sony A6700 or a Sony A7000 series. Like I was hoping there was going to be something coming out of their APS-C line, and when their two big announcements were both full frame, and I was like, like is Sony just trying to convert everyone to go to the full frame line? Are they giving up on APS-C? Like, I wonder what their plan is.
I don't think they should give up. No, I don't think they'll give up on it, man. Because I feel like the full frame is it's geared more towards, I guess, people who are more into it, more professionals, I guess, who are into the more crazy cinematic stuff. So if for a beginner, I wouldn't just want to jump into a full frame, right? I think it's good to jump into like a smaller camera, like a APS-C camera. So I don't think they will go away from it.
Because the other thing too is like it's not just that the full frame camera is expensive, but you have to go into the full frame lenses.
Exactly.
And the glass of full frame is so expensive.
It costs more than the body sometimes.
This is like the problem with getting deep into the camera world.
Yeah.
The gear, you're never satisfied, and there's always something better. There's always
Exactly.
a focal length you're missing, or an aperture, or a zoom, or a really fast prime, or whatever the thing is.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something in the camera world that entices you to keep buying more and more and more. And it's like, man, if you're not mindful of your spending, your purchases can add up really quickly.
Dude, yeah, man. This past couple months I've been spending so much money on this upgrade because I had to upgrade my memory card system, and the memory cards on the new camera too, right? So
yeah. What is it called?
They're Type A, Express Type A. So they only work on that camera right now, and only Sony makes them right now. So they're $600 bucks. But I found an alternative where it's a regular SD card, but they're like the fastest SD cards out there.
And it works.
They're still a couple $100 though, right? So they're expensive. So I bought a couple of those. But I feel like if I need to use the highest 4K setting, I need to get that expensive memory card.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
So when you say highest, so 4K 120?
4K 120, but there's different bit rates and there's different quality levels. So the highest one, in order for me to use it, I need the fastest Express Type A card.
Oh, so it doesn't even work.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I don't notice the difference. Like, I feel like the quality of the other 4K 120 bit rates and files are pretty good. And my computer right now can't even handle it, so it doesn't make sense for me to buy.
Oh, so you can't even use it.
Yeah, so maybe later on when I get a better computer, I'll consider getting the other memory card. But yeah, that's another thing. I need to get another computer to be able to edit on that camera.
Wow, so that's another cost. So the new full frame camera is so good, and the quality of the image is so good, it's going to force you to buy a whole new computer to be able to edit that footage.
So it's an expensive upgrade. It's an expensive upgrade, man.
Oh man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. I don't suggest it for beginners. It's like, if you have the money for it, if you have 6, 7, 8, 10 grand laying around that you want to invest into your video or photography stuff or video stuff, then I would do it. But like, as a starter camera, no, I would not suggest it, man. I would start off maybe A7 III, that if you want a full frame.
Yeah.
Or the older A7S2, which is still pretty good. A lot of creators still use it.
A7. Oh, that one.
You can buy used, right? You can buy used too, so it'll be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, that's still a good camera.
Or just go APS-C, man. Like, you can create so much with APS-C. Like what you're doing, man. You're creating.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still good enough.
Yeah, man.
Because it still comes down to, it's more important how you use your camera and your knowledge of using it than the actual camera itself. Yeah. Like someone that's a master at cameras and uses like a shittier camera is so much better than a beginner that even has like a $20,000 red cam. Like if you don't know how to use the actual tool, then it's useless in your hands, right? So I feel like, I know it's very hard to resist being materialistic, especially in the camera world, because you always want to buy or you always have this mentality where if I had this lens or if I had that focal length, it would just make my work and my content that much better.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, the benefit that you actually get is so minor, and is it really even worth the cost for the majority of people, right? It's not. But I see, like, in your perspective, you're probably going to use the 10-bit, you're using the flip-out screen, you're going to be using the 4K 60, the 4K 120, that you're going to be using the extra quality for client work and commercials and all these other projects that the average person, filmmaker, or YouTuber would never even consider using any of those features, right? So it ends up being a complete waste of money just because I want that camera, or I want that shiny new product from Sony. And it's like, I have this problem because I always think about wanting to switch to full frame. Yeah. But I'm always like, okay, say I do, how much better is this going to make my videos? Because even if you think about YouTube, the average viewer watches on their phone, right? Mm-hmm. So can your phone even see that difference in quality? Probably not, right? Yeah. Of course, if you're doing client work for a business or a company and you're doing commercials, then yes, you're gonna want to do that. Or if you're a wedding photographer or something like that, then yeah, I get it. But if you're just a YouTube content creator, I don't know, man. I feel like staying away from these super shiny cameras is a smart thing to do, financially at least.
It's just, I guess a lot of people have FOMO. They just fear,
FOMO.
fear of missing out. Right? Like they want the best thing. They're like, oh, if this guy has it, maybe I'll make my stuff better too. Cause I had that. I still have it actually sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah, man. But it's never the gear, bro. It's all about it's you, man. It's how creative you can get with what you have, right?
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
It's storytelling. Was just talking to somebody about it. It's just storytelling is so key, whether you're doing tutorials or what you're doing, right? Like
Yeah.
self improvement stuff. Like putting together your video and being able to tell a story with it is key, man. It's huge, right? You got to be able to have your viewers stay on there and watch your video, and storytelling is a huge part of that.
Yeah, of course. Like, and I shouldn't say that like having better equipment doesn't help. Like, for sure it does. Like, even look at this situation we're in now. We both have. Well, actually, let's talk about this office. So we're in your brand new office, your new workspace. We got. Is that thing behind you even in the?
You can see a little bit of it, yeah, the backdrop.
So what is that?
This is a backdrop system. So right now I have 2 rolls on there, but usually I'll have like 3.
Yeah.
So basically, I just want to use it for like a lot of my, I guess, product B-roll videos.
Product commercials?
Or if I need to.
Is that a green screen?
Yeah, it's a green screen. Cause I do a lot of stuff on green screens, right? So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I've got a green screen of white, and then I got a deep yellow coming in. This is like yellow, but I don't know.
What does
man,
it do?
Nothing. I just want it for like my regular YouTube videos,
okay,
just to kind of have it in there
yeah.
as the main color, right? I don't know what it is, man. I'm into the color yellow right now.
You're into the color yellow?
It's weird. It's weird. I can't even explain it.
The Lakers?
Maybe. I was thinking that or black. Black I would probably use a lot too, right?
Yeah.
But instead of getting a black roll, I'm just gonna probably paint one of the walls here black and just kind of do stuff
okay,
there.
I
Right?
see.
So. But anyways, yeah, this is new office. It's not that big, but it's a good starter studio office. It's a lot bigger than what I had at the other place at the house.
Yeah.
And the reason why I got it is because I just wanted to keep things separate from family, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
whenever I'm at home, I just want to be able to just kind of stick with family and just play with them or play with the kids and just not worry about work.
Yeah, and that way you're not splitting your attention.
Yeah.
When you're in here in your office,
Mm-hmm.
like your focus is 100% on your work.
Yeah.
And then when you're at home, your focus is 100% on your family.
Yep.
And you're not like half of your brain is thinking about editing, the other half is about your kids. Like you're gonna be more present in the moment. And I feel like, it'll help you make better work. It will also help you be a better father, right? Because your attention is not always thinking about, I got some videos to edit, but also I gotta play with my kids. Like,
Yeah.
You're not split between what you're spending your time on, right? I definitely would love to have an office like this
Like
one
separate.
day. It's definitely on like my, I wouldn't say to-do list, like a list of things that I would love to have one day.
Yeah.
But my idea is kind of like have a podcasting studio, something similar to this, but like in like my basement of my house or something. But again, it needs to be big enough to where I can have that separation, where it's like, okay, if I'm downstairs in my quote unquote office, I need to be able to focus 100% on my work, and then that way I can produce better content as a content creator. And I would love to just have like a setup like this, because all my other podcast episodes that I film, it's basically with this tiny little patio table and chair that I take from outside. It's a chair that I leave on my front porch.
Mm-hmm.
It's an outdoor table, and it's like rusted, and it's gross, and I take that, I put it upstairs in my guest bedroom, and then I just film a podcast in there, because I have nowhere else really to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't have a dedicated space to do a podcast. And even though like this podcast is fairly young, this is episode 12.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's pretty good. You got 12 episodes in already?
it's getting there.
Yeah.
But spending all this extra money on something in the beginning, it's not going to help me, right? Just getting the content started is what's important. And then hopefully eventually, maybe if the podcast does become moderately successful someday or whatever, then, I can make a more maybe professional studio to create better content, right? I would love to do that one day.
Man. Same here. I just want like a dedicated like little podcast area, right?
Yeah, I know, it'd be so cool.
It'd be nice.
Right?
It'd be nice. But yeah, with this place, I just wanted somewhere where I can just work, have a little space to do the B-roll stuff, space to record my YouTube tutorials, right? So it does a job. Like it's good. It's a good enough space. But I think I would wanna I wanna upgrade later on, like maybe like a year or so. Get something bigger, if I can afford it. Things are going well. We'll just have to see how things go.
Well, you never
Yeah.
know what happens.
Yeah,
You
man.
gotta
It's nice
see.
to have a separate working space from like your home.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
most people have that, right?
Yeah.
They drive to their job,
Yeah.
and their work is separate from their home life, right?
Mm.
And as a entrepreneur, freelancer, YouTuber, it's like, yeah, you can work from home, but at the same time, like, you're gonna be distracted a lot of the times,
Yeah.
right? And you also, you want to treat your family properly,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
You don't want to be absent from
Mhm.
them, and at the same time, you want to put out the best possible work you can and create the best possible content you can.
Mhm.
So even though it's like, oh yeah, you got an office, right? But a lot of people kind of do the same thing. Their work life
Yeah.
is separate
Yeah,
from
exactly.
their home life, right?
Yeah. I think it needs to be that way because I don't know. When I was working a lot at home, it kind of affected my relationship with them in a way, right? Where I feel like, okay, I have to take care of you, but I need to finish my work here, right? Like I would get kind of angry, and I feel like sometimes I would take it out on them. So that's
Okay.
another reason why I wanted to keep things separate. And honestly, it's gotten better. It's gotten
Yeah.
better. Yeah, it's gotten a lot better that I can just put all the work stuff in here, focus all my work stuff in the little space here, and then when I'm home, kind of forget about everything.
Yeah, that's true. But another thing, what people don't understand is when you're a creative and you're trying to create something, not just a YouTube video, it can be writing a script or a book or a tutorial or whatever you're doing. That creativity comes from like this place in your mind where you need to be free from distractions. Especially when you're trying to create, like when you create your best work, at least this is for me, I do it when I have clarity, peace of mind, and no distractions. That's always when I get my best
Yeah.
work done. And whenever I have like there's people over or the TV's on or something is going on, it's almost like a mental block for creativity.
Yeah, dude.
Especially for content creators, because most people at a normal job, say you work a 9 to 5 and you do the same tasks day in and day out, and it becomes like automatic, and okay, I go here, I do this, I type this, send this email, do this meeting, and there's no creative driver behind your work, and it's just all automatic. You just kind of go through the motions. But as a content creator, it's so much more difficult than that. And a lot of people think like, oh, it's so easy, you just turn on your camera and just create content. But like,
yeah.
that's not how it works. And I'm starting to realize this because I still have a day job, obviously, right? Like I go to work and I do the exact same thing day in, day out.
Yeah.
I see the same boxes, I deliver the same packages to the same customers on the same loading dock. And part of the day, I'm just like going through the motions and I'm just on autopilot. I don't even have to think about what I'm doing. It's almost as if I just go. And when you drive and all of a sudden you end up somewhere, sometimes you forget how
Happens
you
a lot, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of
That's
dangerous.
like-
Is that dangerous?
It probably is, but like whenever I'm working, that's what I feel like. I'm just on autopilot all the time. But whenever I'm creating content, it's never like that. It's always like in this deep thought process of contemplation and trying new things and trying this, or maybe that doesn't work, maybe doing something this way, and you're just like tweaking with the whole creative process until you create something that's unique to yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that type of work is so different than the typical like office job.
Yeah, it is, man. You need, I don't know, I can't think too much. There's stuff going around, like stuff happening around me. I need to be able to have a space where it's just quiet.
Yeah.
And just to myself, right? So that I can kind of like come up with the ideas. But yeah, man, like I don't know what it is. I know some people I know like going for walks and that's how their like creativity like sparks and stuff, right? They go for walks or they'll just go for like a workout. I think I know a lot of people they work
really?
out
Go
and
for a
they'll get
workout?
like and it'll spark some ideas, right? I don't know. For me, I just need to be in a quiet space or like I don't know, just in a quiet place and just that's how I usually come up with my ideas. Actually, sometimes I've been playing video games and ideas just kind of like spark. Like I'll just like come into my head. I was like, what the? But yeah, it's just I guess it's so random for everyone, right? It's still different for everybody.
So what do you do? Do you just stop the game and do you write it down?
Yeah,
or
I'll have
like-
my phone. I'll have like a little note like pad right on my phone, and I'll just kind of like write all like the stuff in my head there.
And you'll just jot
and then when I
down.
get to the office or a laptop, I'll just kind of expand on it.
Oh, okay. So actually I've never asked you this before. How does your creative process look? Like
When it comes to like coming up with a video.
like say you're coming up with your new video for next week. Like what does that look like?
I usually have a list, so my list is always like I have this one document on Google where every time I come up with an idea, I just put it on there. So when it comes to like coming up with the videos for the month, I kind of like just take from that list and see what will fit into what would I want to do, right? So yeah, it's just random. Like I said, like I'll be here, I'll just be sitting around, just kind of like come up with ideas, and I'll just put it on the document. I'll be at home playing video games, and I'll just put it down in the document. So there's not like I won't just sit down and be like, okay, what do I need to do for next week, and then just kind of come up with ideas. I kind of just go with the list that I have and kind of like expand on that afterwards, right?
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the inspiration from that list will come from anything. Like I'll just be on YouTube, maybe sometimes watching videos, and I'll be like, oh wait, there's actually a cool idea that I don't know, I can't remember, and I'll just kind of add it in there. So it just comes from everywhere. It's not just like one place. It's just
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah, that's true.
kind of random.
You know how mine works? This has happened to me many times, especially this year. I'll get to a point where I feel like I have no ideas left. I've exhausted all my creativity. I have no idea what I'm gonna do for my next video, and I feel like I have this horrible writer's block. And I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But then out of nowhere, I'll be doing something completely unrelated, like I'll be washing the dishes, for example.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'll get this idea for a productivity video, and it just kind of like sparks in my imagination, and I have no idea where it comes from. Like I don't even understand how you can go from having no thought and no creativity at all to having a fully conceived idea, and now I know exactly what my title is, what my thumbnail is gonna look like. I have a premise for the video. I know the type of B-roll that I'm gonna film, and this idea just like rushes my brain. And whenever that happens to me, I just stop what I'm doing. So in the case of me washing the dishes, I threw off my gloves and I just ran upstairs to my computer and I just started typing. And I just started writing out like the title, like how to be more productive in a world full of distraction, which was what happened. That was a video that I ended up making. And I just went on this like writing rampage where I just wrote like 3 pages of nonsense. And I just, even if the sentences that I write don't make any sense, I kind of just write everything in that moment because I'm getting this like creative spark that just flourishes out of nowhere. And I'm trying to extrapolate as much information from that spark as I possibly can. And then I just throw it on, not a piece of paper, but throw it on a Google document. And then I'll save it, go back to, washing the dishes or whatever after that creative spark is gone. And then I'll go look at it after. And I'll skim through that document. And most of it is nonsense. A lot of it's just like rambling jargon or, bullshit. But there'll be like these nuggets of super valuable information there. And then I'll take those nuggets out and then expand on those ideas. Now, that'll be like maybe, I don't know if I had to give a ratio, like 80% nonsense, but then 20% like really solid concrete ideas that I could use for my next video. And I don't know why my brain works like that, but I feel like I always go through these peaks and valleys of I'll have zero creativity, and then out of nowhere I'll just all of a sudden get to 100 and I have all the ideas in the world.
That's when you need to like keep going though. When you're flowing like
Keep
that,
going?
you just keep going, man. Like when I have those days where I'm just like, oh, I have this idea. Oh wait, I can do this and that. I just
You don't
grab
stop.
the laptop. I'll just keep typing or do whatever I need to do. Because I think when you have things flowing like that, you just gotta keep going, man. And sometimes it's hard to get into that state, right? Like,
It doesn't happen often.
Yeah, so you just keep going, bro. I know it sucks. Like I guess it depends on where you are too, but whenever I get into that stage, I try to just like grab a laptop and like, okay, I gotta type this out, or I gotta like plan this out right now, right? Because like it's in my head.
But do you know what I'm talking about? Like, do you get that too? That like rush?
Yeah,
like
it's just like randomly, right?
But like, where does it come from?
I have no
like,
idea.
I don't even understand.
That's what I was saying about when I was playing video games too. Sometimes I'll just play video games and I'll be like, oh, that's a cool idea actually. Oh wait, I can do this and that. It's just like random. Like it just has nothing to do with the game I'm playing. It's like not related at all. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from, man.
Do you believe that you can work on your creativity, or do you believe that it's just something you have or you don't?
I feel like I think a lot of our creativity comes from inspiration. Like I feel like a lot of the ideas, a lot of the videos that we've done has been done before. But like you add your little creativity to it, right? And a lot of it comes from inspiration. So So I don't know. There's a lot of people that get mad and saying like, "Oh, you copy this guy or you do this guy," but I feel like everyone's been inspired by somebody else, right? To when you create your stuff. So I feel like you can create work on your creativity. I feel like it's just about how you think of things, how you break things down, how you put things together. And I feel like I don't know. I don't think you're born with it. I feel like it's something that you can actually you can work on. It's not something like, oh, he's not creative. He wasn't born creative. Then he can't do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I've always been a believer that everyone is born creative.
Oh, creative. Okay.
Yeah, we all have that ability of creativity.
Yeah.
But I also believe that creativity is also a skill that you can improve. It's kind of like when you're sharpening your sword or sharpening your axe, you know. It's kind of that old saying, you lose it if you don't use it, you lose it, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we all have the ability to be creative, but it's those people that are constantly sharpening their creative sword. They're constantly thinking of ideas, constantly putting themselves out there, trying new things, writing, and just, you know, trying to do things that challenges themselves creatively.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like creativity is kind of like a thing you can improve.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that everyone has creativity.
Yeah.
Like I hate it when people tell me, like, I've heard this a lot at work. They'll be like, "Oh, I saw your YouTube channel. Oh, you're so lucky. You're such a creative person."
Oh, look.
And I'll be like, "Okay, I'm so lucky that I'm a creative person, but I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, aren't you creative as well? Like, do you even try to do anything?" See, that's a problem that I have. People have this mentality that, you know, you're born with something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, in sports, if you're born with the athletic ability of LeBron James or John Jones or something, okay, that is obviously something that if you're born 4'10", you're never going to be able to play basketball and dunk a basketball like LeBron James, obviously, right? But those are physical limitations, whereas the mind is not bound by those same physical limitations. Your mental mind has like infinite capacity that anyone else can aspire to.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can always improve that in some way. And that's where like this whole creative process comes from. And I feel like it's ignorant to say that some people are born with it and some people aren't. Like, I don't believe in that.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, Spud Webb was 5'3" and he dunks, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
5'5"?
That's true.
He's short. Bro.
Okay, so what's the cutoff where you can never dunk?
I don't know. Maybe shorter than that.
Okay, we'll say 5 foot.
I think, like, I agree with you, man. Like, maybe everyone is born creative, but just there's certain people that want to use that creativity or actually want to sharpen their skills and get better at it. But like Spud Webb, I'm pretty sure he had to work on that. I'm pretty sure he had to work on like his vertical just to be able to dunk like that, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah.
And it goes. It's the same with the creators. If you really want to expand and get better, you just keep going and you put yourself in situations where I guess you try to be creative and you kind of like expand your creativity, right? So it's up to you. It's up to you if you really want it. If you really want it, then I feel like you can be creative. You can unleash that creative side of yourself, right?
Yeah, that's true. Because that's even using the analogy of like languages. I always hear people say this, and I'm victim of this too. I always say like, "Oh, I wish I could speak another language."
Yeah.
Because all I can speak is English, right? That's the only language I know. But have I ever taken a second language class outside of what I was forced to do? Have I ever tried to learn French after high school? Have I ever tried to learn another language? No, I haven't. I haven't spent a single minute or any effort at all in trying to learn a language. But then I'll say, "Oh, I wish I could speak another language." But if you don't even put any time into developing that skill, then obviously you're never going to get any better at it, right? But to think that there's some innate attribute that we all have when we're born, that either you have it or you don't, when it comes to creative stuff, you know, I still honestly believe that that's incorrect.
Yeah.
Like, we all have that ability, but it's just a matter of if you pursue it or not, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. And I think a lot of people are just, I guess, they don't believe in themselves. I've met a lot of people where they don't believe themselves. They kind of just put themselves down and they don't even want to try because they feel like maybe it's the way they were raised or the way they grew up. But like you said, like it's really up to you, man. It's really up to you if you wanna unleash that side of yourself. I feel like everyone is creative in a different way. Right?
Yeah, 100%. Because even for me, I've worked on my creativity a lot, especially these past 2 years, and I came from like a childhood where I was very analytical, very mathematical. I hated writing, I hated English, history, all of those courses. And I only thrived in like the sciences and maths, and I never ever did anything creative at all for years. But it's not until I actually started working on it, and now look, I'm still not the best at speaking or creating videos, but I'm getting better. I'm
You've
improving
improved a lot, man. Yeah.
compared to like, if you look at, especially if this is true for YouTube, when you look at your first video, and you look at the way you speak and carry yourself and your sentence structure and vocabulary, it's so bad compared to where you are today, right? And it's like that progress, like everyone can make that little progress, but it's just putting the time into it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was never naturally a good speaker, right? I hated doing public speaking. I hated, those presentations in class where you present in front of the class and have to speak and do all those public speeches. I hated that stuff, and I was so introverted and shy, and I always thought that like people were laughing at me or they would criticize me, and I was always so self-conscious of myself. But now, like, public speaking is something I actually kind of like. I'm not saying that I'm good at it, but I would love to try it, even though I might suck. But still, I wouldn't mind working on that skill and maybe try to pursue that, in some form or another in the future. But, it's not like I was born a creative person, or I was born a person, that was outspoken. Like, that's not who I was at all. I was the complete opposite growing up, which is, since you've known me since forever.
I was the same. You know me too. I was quiet.
Yeah, we called you quiet, bro.
Dude, I was so scared. But Richard's wedding, remember how he asked me to be his officiant?
Yeah.
Dude, I was so nervous when he asked me. I was telling Mary, Mary, my wife, for those who watch. I was telling her that I think I'm gonna say no. I'm like, I think I'm too scared to do this. I don't want to do it, right? Like, it's kind of scary to talk in front of 100 people. And then I just kept thinking about it. I'm like, this is the time I was doing YouTube as well. I'm like, wait, this is a good time for me to kind of overcome that fear, just kind of just do it and just work on my public speaking, just kind of talking in front of the people. And dude, it was like the best experience, man. I had so much fun with it. Yeah, I had so much fun with it. It was it was different for me, but it was for like one of our good friends too, right? I'm like, wow, like he chose me to be his officiant, and it was like such an honor, and it was cool. It was such a cool experience. And after that, I was just like, like what you were saying, I want to do more like public speaking stuff, maybe to get better, just to kind of like get rid of all those nerves. And yeah, dude, it was a crazy experience. It was fun.
Yeah, it just even if you don't want to pursue it all the way, like even just try.
Exactly.
It will improve the way you speak. You'll feel more confident with yourself, especially when you're on camera, or even just doing this, like doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not always thinking about slurring my words and stumbling and saying ums and ahs and all that nonsense that comes with speaking. But if you try to pursue public speaking, obviously you're going to improve at all of those things, right? And what's funny is, I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if I told you this story, but there was a time where I wasn't surprised that you got into video. Because there was a time in grade, I think it was 12, we were in English class, and you read this book called, you read a book called The Old Man and the Pearl or something? Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Have I ever told you this story?
Yeah, no, keep going.
Okay, so this is a memory I have of you that for some reason has always stuck in my mind, and I've always had it, but for some reason I never told you about it. But I remember we were in an English class and we had to read a book and do a presentation, and I don't even know what I read. I can't remember the book that I read, but it was horrible and I was terrified. But I remember you made a video of your presentation, and you took like a mop, like those stringy mops or whatever, and you put it on your head or something.
It was my sister's hair. She was behind me, and I put it behind.
Oh, is it? But then
I can't even remember this.
You made like a video, and you're like, oh yeah, I read this book, The Old Man and the Pearl or something.
Dude, I wish I still had that.
And you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Man. I forgot about it until you brought it up again.
And I always had this memory in my mind, and then recently when you became a professional videographer, it triggered this thing in my mind where it brought that memory up to the surface. And I was like, you know what? I'm not surprised at all that Bryan became a professional videographer, because there was these little signs in the past. They were very minor, right? They were very small, but they were still there. And I always kind of like remembered these things about you. And then it's just weird because now, like, to see where you are today, you have a full-time YouTube channel that has, surpassed 100,000 subscribers, which is totally amazing. But it's like when you look back at where you came from, right? It's like it's interesting because there's these little hints, these little tidbits that you have the potential, right?
Dude, I remember that class. I was super like shy, and like there's a lot of people in that class I was kind of like intimidated by.
Why?
I don't know. There's a lot of guys that I'm like, oh, like they're cool. I was, you know how shy I was in high school, right? I was like quiet.
Well, so was I.
Yeah. So I didn't talk a lot in that class. I don't remember. I didn't know you were in that class.
Yeah, I was in that class.
Was I same beside you? Probably not, right?
I think so.
Really?
Because didn't we share glasses? Because we had the same prescription,
yeah,
right?
That was funny, man. I don't remember though. I don't remember you being in that class, but anyways, I was so scared of that class. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do a video. It's like it's not me. It's totally like I'm like totally afraid to do it, but I'm just gonna do it. And I remember one of Anthony Araza.
Okay, yeah,
class,
I remember him.
And he was just like laughing. And he's just like, dude, it's like I didn't know you were like that. It was just funny. It was just like not me. Right? It was not like how the person they saw me, and it was fun doing it. It was really fun doing it, man.
Yeah.
And then I noticed I was into videos too, but I think it was way before that. I used to take my dad's camcorder. It was like a huge camcorder, and we used to watch Disney movies on like a VHS, and I would get my sister Heather and my cousin Mike was here still.
Okay, yeah.
I would get them to act out certain parts in the movie, and I'll like film them. Dude, it was so funny. We did like Pocahontas. We did like.
So you're a director.
Yeah, I was directing it. And I was like filming them, and then we made all these like weird like originals as well, where it's like they're hiding from all these like monsters, and it was so funny, man. Like I wish I still had those tapes.
So the signs have always been there.
I guess so. Yeah, I thought about that too. I'm like, oh, I was really into it. It was fun. Like I loved recording it. And I guess there was little signs. I totally forgot about the English class one though. And
did you really?
Yeah, when you brought it up, I was like, oh my god, I didn't know what he's talking about.
I'm pretty sure it was grade 12 or OAC, and it was Fitzpatrick.
Probably.
Is that his name? I think it was Fitzpatrick was the teacher. And then I remember I struggled the whole semester with that course. And I remember I would do those essays, right? Remember we always had like quarterly essays or something. It was a huge portion of our marks. And I remember just barely passing, getting like a 52, a 53, and I was just like struggling. I couldn't write. And it's weird because now I love to write. But back then I couldn't write at all. My command of the English language was horrible. My vocabulary was poor. I had no self-confidence, and I couldn't do any like reading or speaking in front of the class at all. And it was just like terrible. But what I did was I just showed up to class every single day. Every day I was there. And I remember the very last day of the semester, like no one showed up. And there was like 4 of us there.
Yeah.
And then he said something like, oh, you guys can all leave. You don't have to stay. And then I remember I talked to the teacher and I was like, I need some help. I'm just preparing for the exam, right? Because I was struggling so bad with that course and I needed it for university. And I remember my grade was like a 60. It was like a 59. It was really bad, but I needed a good enough mark to make it for university. And did the exam, didn't do that well. But the guy, he gave me a final grade of 70. So if I were to go from a 58 all the way to a 70, like I must have got really good on the final exam.
Yeah.
But I didn't. It was just like a pity grade, like a participation grade. I felt like because I showed up every single day and I was just there, he kind of just gave me the 70. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because that's one of the first memories I had for me on how important it is to be consistent and just keep showing up every day.
Yeah.
Because that's half of the battle. It's just being able to show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just putting in the effort, and then eventually you'll get better at that thing over time. And for me, even though I was horrible at writing, I had no creativity at all, it was just showing up to that class and just having some determination and grit and just at least trying, right?
Yeah.
And eventually you're going to get better. But unfortunately, like in university, I had English, but my writing didn't get better at all. It actually got like
you
really
focused
bad.
on other things, right?
Yeah, it was just wasn't there. But it's interesting how like
Yeah.
that was my biggest weakness as a student was my writing and like I guess storytelling.
Yeah.
Kind of like that was my biggest weakness growing up, and now it's turning into one of my bigger strengths, which is what my channel is completely focused on.
It's
Right?
like your main thing right now, man.
Yeah, that's like
Storytelling,
it's
writing.
weird, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Because I was never a person that was into that kind of stuff at all. But now I've done this complete 180 or whatever you want to call it, and I'm kind of going this complete different direction in life. And I don't know, I feel like it's very interesting to see where we are now as compared to where we were before, because we were both came from, you know, similar paths, right?
Yeah, we did, man. And like, there's a lot of stuff that I wish I did too in high school. Like, did you ever take photography?
No,
classes?
I didn't. See, I didn't take photography either.
I took it and then I dropped out
Why?
because I wasn't into it. Well, back then.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh man, it's so cool to be like in that film
Yeah, you
room.
could have
kind of
developed
developing.
film.
It would have been really cool, right? It would have been an awesome experience. And I guess I wasn't into it, man. I was focused on this leaving class and going out, going to a pool hall.
Shooters.
Man, the priorities were not in place. But I guess we're in high school, right? I guess when you're in high school and you're that young, you don't really think about what you want to do in the future.
Yeah, I despised all the arts. I didn't want to take art.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take photography. Any of the arts I absolutely despised, and I had no interest in any of that stuff. But now look, I make a video on painting, and I'm doing all this other.
Actually, it surprised me when you did the painting one.
Yeah, dude, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's actually a lot of fun. But the problem is, I think, I don't know if art is a thing that you're either born with it or not. Are you born with artistic ability? Or is that also?
Isn't that something that if you just keep doing you'll get better?
Yeah, you can
you'll
definitely
start figuring it out.
Yeah.
I feel like you can.
I wonder, is that a skill where you just naturally born artistic? Is that a thing?
Because like Mills, I guess Mills' drawing evolved from like I don't know, Mills' drawing before was just like they're not that great, but then this Mills just kept going and going. Yeah,
he
he
just
got
kept
better.
working on
Got really really good, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like it's something that you just keep doing consistently. You can get better at, and in terms of what to draw, I feel like a lot of it is inspiration too, right?
Maybe it's just like creativity.
Yeah.
It's just if you have that passion for drawing
Exactly.
and you just work on it, you can just keep getting better and better and better, right?
I think it's with anything, man. If you really are into something and you put in the time, you can get better at it. I feel like if I wanted to be a baseball player and I put in all that time to become a baseball player and kind of train my body to be, I'm pretty sure I'd get a good shot at it. Like I'd probably like, I don't know, I'd put myself in that position where at least try out for like the minor league or something, or
Yeah, you would get
like,
somewhere.
Yeah, you
with
would get
it,
somewhere.
right?
Like if you really want to get somewhere, I feel like if you put in the time, that's all it is, right? You can't just wait for things to happen. You gotta put in the time and.
That's interesting because I never really thought about other forms of creation, like art, if you were born with that talent or not. Like, that's kind of, like, I wonder if that's a thing. I wonder if some people are born with more artistic ability than others, or more.
Maybe we're not all at the same level, but like I feel like you can get there. I feel like you can.
Yeah, for sure. For sure,
Yeah.
some people like start with some advantages.
Yeah.
But I definitely do believe that. Actually, that's weird. I'm like just to learn something right now because I had like this idea in my mind that I've never been good at drawing. But then when I thought about it, when did I ever practice drawing?
Yeah, you never.
Never.
Right? Yeah, you never practiced.
I've never practiced it, and then recently I started painting a little bit.
Yeah.
And
You
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you know what's weird? These are things that my dad does.
Oh, yeah, you told me about it. He
Yeah. My dad was a painter.
Yeah.
And he was big into photography.
Yeah.
But he only chose cooking and culinary as profession because there was no money really in the arts in his era, right?
Yeah.
But he told me like if he could have done something in the arts, he would have done it. And I guess culinary, there is a form of, in art,
Still
in
art,
creating
right?
food and the presentation of the dish.
Yeah.
So I think he appreciates it in that way. But I wonder if like I've inherited some of my dad's creative artistic abilities, and it's only now that I'm unlocking that ability that's kind of been like deep within my subconscious that it's just been locked away because I never activated it.
Yeah.
Like I wonder
Never
if
tapped into it, right?
I wonder if that's a thing. because my dad's a super
Yeah.
creative guy,
Yeah.
right? And he even told me he's surprised, like, oh wow, you're getting into all these weird creative art stuff
Yeah.
because it used to be all about computers and video games and programming and math and stuff. And he's like, oh, you're kind of actually more like me now. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if like I've kind of like unlocked
Yeah.
that innate ability
Dude, I
or
think so.
something.
Yeah, because like before you, I never saw you being into that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
never, right?
Yeah. So now that you're kind of like tapping into it, maybe you're opening all these like doors
Yeah.
and like just kind of like, yeah, that's cool, man. That's really cool. It's cool that your dad used to do all that stuff too. I didn't know he painted before until you told me. It's crazy.
Yeah, at their place he has some paintings.
Yeah, I didn't know it was his.
They're his.
Yeah.
If you look at the corner, it has
Oh, yeah?
a signature.
That's crazy. That's awesome, man.
It's weird because he's colorblind.
Yeah, you told me about that.
So he's there's a definition for his color blindness. You know how there's like isn't there three primary colors?
Hmm.
He's blind to one of the primary colors.
Okay.
Shoot,
how does it work?
I wish I knew more about it. Is it red, green, and let me Google this. What are the primary? Is it red, green, and blue?
Oh my god, bro. Gotta cut this part out.
No, leave it there. I don't care. Three primary colors are red,
Green.
yellow, and
Oh, yellow,
blue.
yeah.
Secondary colors are orange, green, and violet. So blue, my dad can see. Like yellow and the other colors, to him they're like gray or something.
Oh, okay.
So-
So how does it work when it comes to his actual painting then? Like,
I don't even know.
how does he know?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But he has like this type of color blindness that's very specific. Like if you were to take a bunch of M&Ms
Yeah.
and put them all on the table,
Okay.
he wouldn't be able to pick out the red ones from the green. But red and green are completely different colors.
Yeah.
They're not even close, right? But to him, those would look the same. They would look
crazy.
exactly
Yeah,
the same.
yeah.
Yeah, but if there's are there blue M&Ms?
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Say if there was
Yeah.
blue M&Ms, he would be able to pick those out easily.
Oh, okay.
So his color palette in his eyes or whatever.
So,
Yeah, he's missing something there. So his interpretation of colors is so different than what we see.
Yeah.
But he still enjoyed painting somehow.
That's cool.
This
I
is
wonder
that
how they
weird?
worked around it, yeah.
I wonder what it's called, right?
You should get your dad on the podcast, bro.
Bro, I've
Get him on the podcast.
I've asked him. I've
That's
asked
good.
him. He's like the most wanted guest, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Obviously, your dad, man.
He's not interested.
And Steve, get Steve.
I've asked him too.
You gotta get your
Steve's my brother.
fam on there.
I need to do a podcast with the three of them,
Yeah.
but they'll probably just bash me the whole time. They're just like, they're probably just gonna
Oh,
shit
yeah.
talk me the whole time.
It'll be fun to watch.
Oh, for sure. I'm definitely gonna keep asking.
Mm.
Maybe I can convince him one day. But the problem is, like, from his
Yeah.
point of view, like English isn't his first language, right? So like I can understand if he feels a little apprehensive about doing something where his voice is recorded.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and he's an older dude. Like
Yeah.
he's never done any of this type of stuff. He doesn't care for social media and podcasts and all this
My
stuff. So I
parents
feel
too.
like
If I asked my parents to, they wouldn't.
they
do
wouldn't
it.
want to. They wouldn't want to come on camera and record their voice, right?
Mm.
I wonder if I should just call him on the phone and then record.
Just have a
It's
conversation.
like
with
doesn't even know.
him. See how it goes.
Because then I would get the authentic version of my
Exactly.
father,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because if you tell him, or if there's a camera in his face, or
Mhm.
there's a microphone in his face, he's probably going to speak differently,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's going to affect how you express yourself,
Yeah.
right? But if I record it without him knowing, then he's just going to talk normally, right?
Bro, try it. Let's see what he does.
But then again, I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
bad because
I
then I'm
know.
like not telling him that I'm recording.
Tell him after. I'd be like, hey, this is our conversation. And say, cool if I post it.
But then what if he gets pissed off?
Hey, he'll probably get pissed off at you.
Yeah, he probably will.
Alright.
Well, I'm gonna see him next weekend, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask him. But I don't know. We'll see. But circling back to what we were talking about. Yeah, the painting thing is very interesting because I never really ever showed any interest
Yeah.
in any of that type of creative stuff, and now it's like all I can think about.
Yeah.
Like, all I think about now are what are things that I can do that can create my best creative work and increase that mental capacity to create unique things, that I love. And I don't know, the whole process is it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it is, man. It is fun.
Like you must enjoy the process as well too,
It
right?
is fun, man. Like putting it together and just being able to put together what you want. I love that, man. I'd rather do this stuff than, I guess, like create for a client. Cause I don't know, with this stuff you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can like tell the story however you want, tell it the way you want to tell it, right? It's fun. It's cool.
Yeah, that's true.
And like way better than the jobs I had before, where it's like you said, it's like the same things every day, right? It's repetitive. Like being able to do this full time and have that creativity and the freedom to do whatever, it's awesome, man.
Because the problem with society is this whole corporate structure that we have of the 9 to 5 and cubicle life and office jobs is that type of work. It's meant for robots. The 9 to 5 is meant for robots, and corporations, they don't want to keep getting new hires and keep bringing people in and letting people go. They want to hire people, train them, and then keep those people doing the same jobs as long as possible because they become super efficient at it. And they don't want to waste capital and money training new employees and getting new staff and finding ways to replace people. So corporations are incentivized to bring you in and keep you there as long as possible in the exact same position, right? Which is the problem that I face in my current job. If you take a job at my company and you stay there for 5 years doing the exact same thing, then they compensate you. But if you kind of move around, then you sort of get punished financially, right? Which kind of sucks because now I've developed all these different type of skills, right, for the business as a whole, but then they don't reward you in terms of compensation as compared to the guy that stayed in the one role and did the same task over and over and over and over again. And of course, that guy, he can perform that one task way better than I can. But on the flip side, there's 9 other tasks that I can do way better than that one person, right? So the way that our society has set up jobs in the world, I feel like the 9 to 5 is meant for robots. And content creation and the arts and music and all these other creative, quote unquote, creative jobs, I feel like this is what human beings are meant to do, meant to be creatives. And maybe we still should work, jobs to a certain extent, but I feel like it doesn't have to be the 9 to 5. It could be, I feel like it should be shorter or something.
Actually, some people that I met, they actually like their jobs. Like that, they like the 9 to 5. They like being like waking up every day and doing the same exact things, like whatever's laid out for them, just doing it. They like it. They're happy. And I don't know. Like I guess for some it's okay. Like I know you're saying it. We're probably not meant. This is not probably not meant for us. But I think in the end, as long as they're happy, right? It should be.
Yeah, I can get that. I understand. Like I know some people, they love routine.
Yeah.
They love to have that like perfect structure where they wake up at the same time every day, drive down the same highway every day, park in the same spot, do the same job, and then go home at 5 o'clock at the same time every day. Like I know that people, they love that type of structure. Which is true. Like I get it. I understand. It's like it's nice to know exactly what you're gonna do every single day, right? But I feel like for a lot of the people, especially the younger generation, that they kind of feel like they're lost in life. They don't know what their purpose is. I feel like those are the type of people that don't benefit from the 9 to 5, and they're the ones that need to pursue those creative outlets. Just the problem is it's so hard to find success in that path, right? Because you're never guaranteed a salary in the beginning, and that first beginning phase is always so difficult. So I do feel like these ideas are not absolute. There's no right or wrong. Like everyone is different, right? But there definitely is a path for creative people that they can take, and they don't always have to follow what everyone else does, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I met this guy and he said he likes the 9 to 5 because everything's laid out for him already and everything's just kind of like coming in. So he wanted to work a job right after college just so that he can get money in to do whatever his creative stuff was, right? And the only thing is he got so comfortable with his 9 to 5 and money coming in that he just kind of like gave up on his creative dreams, and because the money was coming in already and it wasn't like a lot of money, it's just like consistent money. And I feel like that happens to a lot of people when they start seeing all that money coming in at the beginning, especially when you're young, right? and you get kind of comfortable with it, and you're like, oh, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to kind of like touch it. I just want to leave it and just let it run the way it is. And then I guess I feel like actually a lot of people. I feel like it's for a lot of people who have big dreams and goals, and they just kind of give up on it because of the consistent money that's coming in.
Yeah, it's a fear,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's a fear of losing out,
Yeah.
that you're gonna get less.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. And it sucks. I feel like I try to talk to those people. I try to kind of like convince them again to kind of like if that's it's not really like your dream, I guess. To try to go for it. Like it's all about balance for me. That's just what I tell them. Balance is like such a huge thing. Just balance it out. Like work your 9 to 5, but at the same time work on your other stuff a little bit every day, right? And until it starts to grow.
Because I'm going through a very similar problem that you exactly described, is working a full-time job, and then you get that, guaranteed salary, and you get this thing in your mind where you get kind of used to it. You know that $1,000 is coming in every Friday. So every week you have that $1,000 coming in, and for you to kind of maybe work less, and instead of 1,000, maybe you're getting 750. It almost feels like you're doing yourself a disservice, or you're doing something negative. But then you can use that time to pursue what you really love to do.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what you mean, how he got comfortable, because that mindset is what I'm scared of. That's not what I want to fall victim to.
Yeah.
Because I've been working a 9 to 5 job that I don't love, and that's because of the poor decisions I made in school, and that's completely on me, which is fine, I get it. So I'm forced to work that job that I don't like. But once I start getting that, say for example, $1,000 per week, I don't want to feel like I'm trapped, and I don't want to get comfortable to that wage. Yeah. And recently, it's a tough decision to give up money. And recently I cut my hours down from 40 to 30, and I dropped down to part-time. And now I make 25% less salary, give or take, right? So it's very difficult to go backwards, because our mindset as human beings is we always want to progress. We always want to make more. We always want to get better. We always want the next best thing. And when you would tell someone, oh, I'm stepping down from full-time to part-time, and now I'm only going to be making $750 instead of $1,000, they're going to say you're stupid, right? Like, why would you do that? But it's like, I get it if people don't want to do that, and that's like completely fine. But on the flip side, like that guy you were talking about, he got so comfortable with what he's making. Like, you kind of lose the chance to chase your dream, right? And at the end of the day, we all only have one life, 1 year,
Exactly.
one life on this earth. So what do you want to do with your time? Like, if you want to spend all your time just being comfortable, being secure, having a nice, perfect, exactly what you want, and that's great, you know, right? But in the back of your mind, if you always have this dream or passion that you wanted to pursue, and you never took the opportunity to go after it, or at least try, then you're going to have that regret in your mind, your whole life. And what happens if one day you wake up and you're 65 and you're like, shit, I wish I pursued that music career,
you can't get
or something,
that time back, right?
And now you can't get that time back. And it's hard, right? Because I get it, because finances, unfortunately, are a huge part of everyone's life, because everything is expensive. We all have to eat, we all need to afford our rent and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like sometimes you got to take that short-term suffering for long-term potential happiness, right? Or at least that's the way that I see it.
I think a lot of people are just afraid that, because I guess say you're making $2,000 a month and you want to start your business, but you're afraid that, oh, I won't be able to make up that $2,000 that I'm making from my other job, right? So I feel like if you put yourself in that position where you need to make that $2,000, you'll make it happen. Like you won't let yourself starve. You won't let yourself
Yes, exactly.
It's just a grind though. It's like you're gonna have to grind. You have to figure out how you're gonna make the 2,000. You gotta do a lot of creative thinking and planning. But I guess a lot of people are just too lazy, or just don't want to go through that process, and rather just have that 9 to 5. It's safe. I'll just do it. I'm making 2,000 already anyways. So let's just leave it alone, right? So it's really up to you, man. Because I feel like if you really want to make that money outside of what you're doing now, I think you can.
Oh, for sure.
You'll find ways, man. You'll find ways to make it and do what you want to do.
You know what's interesting about that mindset? I feel like that mindset is passed on to us from our parents' generation. And I know you can relate to this now because I'm a new father. I have a daughter who's 9 months old, and my mentality on life has completely changed because I'm not just living for myself and my wife. I'm now living for a human being that we've created that is a part of me. And you get this feeling in your heart that your daughter or your kid, you love them and you want the best for them. And as a parent, the very first thing you think of is safety. You want your kids to be safe, you want your kids to be secure, and you want your kids to be happy, right? So of course parents will naturally want your kids to go to school, get a good education, then go join the corporate world, get a safe job with benefits, vacation day, because you want your kids to be safe. Because naturally as parents, in our instincts, that's what we want for them, right? But at the same time, that contradicts my beliefs in chasing your dreams and being creative. So even though for Tifa, like obviously I want her to be safe,
Yeah.
but I don't want the mistake of forcing her to go down that path. Say for example, she does want to go down the path of academia or the path of a big corporation or whatever, fine, cool. But say for example, she does want to go down a path of creativity. I'm going to support that 100%, 100%. I don't care if it's like a job that has an employment rate of 2%. Like if that's what she wants to do with her life, I'm more concerned about her happiness than me feeling good that she's safe and secure financially. You know what I mean? It's hard because it contradicts. You're contradicting yourself, right? Because you want them to be safe and secure. You don't want them to take risks. But at the same time, that's not what I believe. I believe in taking risks to better your life, right? So you get into this like weird paradox as a new parent when you start to develop these beliefs. And I'm not saying our parents' mindsets are incorrect because obviously they lived in a completely different era, completely different time. And now that we have the internet, the whole playing field for jobs and careers is completely different. And I feel like it's going to be more culturally accepted in the future to pursue those jobs outside of the norm. But I don't know, do you have that same conflicting mindset that I have?
Yeah, man, because I guess I grew up with whatever my parents taught me, right? So there's a lot of mind block. There's a lot of stuff that's like whatever, I don't know, I feel like it affects a lot of my decisions, and I feel like I had to break that block in order to be the person, like, in order to raise my kids the way I want to raise them, right? And with my parents, I don't know, a lot of the stuff like I said, I don't blame them for the way they brought us up or the way they're thinking now. It's just because they lived in a different time. But it's just that I had to break down a lot of blocks in my head for me to be able to parent my kids the way I want to, right? And like you said, I wanna support my kids, whatever they want to do. If they want to be a chef, they want to work the 9 to 5, or they want to start a YouTube channel, I'm gonna support whatever they want 100%. And I'm never gonna kind of like pressure them to do whatever I think is right? Because I feel like that's what my parents wanted me to do. They were like, oh, you should go to school and do computer engineering or computer science or something. I'm like, how do you know that's what I want to do, right?
Exactly.
Like, that's not really what I want to do.
When you're 18 as well, you gotta know what you want to do with your life when you're 18.
Exactly, and that was in my head. I'm like, okay, I guess I have to do this because my parents think that's good, or maybe it'll make me more money later on. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do, right? And I wasted a year, 2 years of college just because I had to do whatever my parents wanted to do. And that's not what I want for my kids. If they want to take a year off to think about what they want to take in school, go ahead. If they feel like they don't need to go to school and do something else, I'll support it, right? I'll let them make the decision, and we're there to kind of like guide them and be there, right?
It's weird because say if Mills wants to pursue like a career in art, but say like the likelihood of him getting a job is very small, then of course you're going to be worried, right? But then at the same time it's weird because if Mills decides to get like some type of job at a big top 500 company, then as a parent you're going to feel kind of at ease because you're going to know, okay, Mills has sick days, Mills is going to have vacation days, he's going to have a pension, going to have all those things set up, but you're going to have these weird conflicting thoughts, right? And I feel like as a parent we have to try to like balance our thoughts with our emotions, but also at the same time incorporate our beliefs into that balance, because it's not as simple as just be like, okay, pick this university, it gives you a great job, do you know what I mean? Or even art. What if he doesn't like art? 5 years from now? What if Mills gets into something like archery? It could change completely because of the age of our kids, right? You never really know. Like, look at us. I never found videography until I was 35 years old. Like 35. So I've been removed 18 years from school, 18 years from high school until I found what I love. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it took you a while, right?
And I know that a lot of people figure out what they love a lot earlier, but for me, it took me forever. It took me so many years to figure out what that one thing was that I wanted to pursue, right? And as parents, I think we need to be mindful of that it could change, right? And you need to kind of just do your best to walk that line, of balance and happiness.
Yeah.
And also making sure your kids are safe and secure, right?
We're supposed to be here to guide them, right?
Yeah.
I don't that's the way I feel. Like, I feel like we shouldn't say, oh, you have to go get into nursing or you have to become a doctor or whatever, right? I feel like we have to guide them. And if we feel like, oh, maybe that is the wrong path, maybe you should consider into this, kind of like throw it into their head and let them kind of decide, right? And that's what that's how we want to raise our kids. We want to kind of just be the guidance for them and kind of make sure that, I don't know, they're trying different things, they're putting themselves in positions where they will succeed and be happy at the same time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to be you don't want to be working at a big company but like miserable.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right. Like, you're making a lot of money, 200,000 a year, 300,000, but you're miserable. And like, I'd rather take less money doing something you love than be working at a job where you're miserable and just pissed off and mad all the time.
Yeah, you know what also is gross too is pleasing other people.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen parents where they brag and they boast that their kid is a doctor, their child is a pharmacist. You know what I mean? They take so much pride and joy from their child that they've pursued this dream that their parents want. It wasn't their kid's dream. It was their parents' dream. And they love the fact that their kid is successful in that way. But what if that wasn't their child's dream and their child was just trying to please their parents because they love their parents? But at the same time, I don't want to do that as well. Like, I might love content creation and YouTube. What if Tifa hates social media altogether? What if she completely hates it and wants nothing to do with it? Then I need to make sure that my own biases don't bleed into the way I raise her as a parent, right? And it's weird because I never think about these things before because I've only become a new parent this year. And my whole mentality on how I live my life is like evolving every single day. And it's always like changing, and the way I think about things and the way I view the world is always like, it's always shifting every week. So it's always something a little bit different. And I find it so interesting how living for just yourself completely changes when you also live for your kids too, right?
Yeah, man. Like, having kids is like, this is definitely life changing. Having 3 kids is
congrats, bro. Congrats on Kobe life.
Oh my gosh, man. It's just like a big change, man. Like, everything we've done, like we gotta move out, we gotta get a new place, I had to get a new car. Like, it's like this one, the third one was just life changing, man. I had to get the office just to kind of keep everything separate.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. But yeah, man, like I said, like, if they want, like, I feel like it's okay for them to give up on, say, like, Mills is drawing for like 10 years but wants to do something different. I feel like it's okay. Like, it's okay to give up on what you're currently doing and pursue something else, right? And I guess it's scary for a lot of people because they're changing whatever you're doing currently, but I think it's okay to be able to do that, and I feel like as parents we should be supportive. I think we just gotta support and guide them and help them in whatever way we can. Right?
Mm-hmm. True. Well said. Alright, bro. Sounds good. We just did over an hour. Anything else you want to break down?
No,
how are you sleeping?
A little bit. I'm sleeping a little bit. Not great sleep, but yeah, I'm getting more sleep than Mary, my wife, but so I guess I'm lucky that way.
Yeah, man. Well, just gotta do your best.
Yeah, man.
Alright, bro. Thanks for doing the live pod. It was awesome.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Fun. Hopefully this turns out good.
So much better in person live.
Yeah.
So you can see your reaction.
Yeah, I know. We definitely gotta do more live pods when we can. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Thanks everyone for watching. Peace. Peace.